Hi again, everybody. My name is Greg Anderson, and this is the Good Timekeeping Show with Greg Anderson. Today I want to talk about these watches here. Two versions of the G-Shock Square featuring carbon fiber. One is the newer version, and one is the older version that's been around since about 2010, according to shockbase.org. So from this angle, looking at them, the way they're set up, you can't tell the difference between them. They look identical from here. So that's kind of the trick on the newer versions of these G-Shock Squares. They look basically identical to the older version, but they have an updated module. So therefore, some new functions and features that you didn't have before. But again, here they are right next to each other. You can't tell the difference right now, but you will soon. Now, if you look, however, right down here, on the carbon fiber watch band, you can see one of these has the name of the watch printed right there on the watch band, and the other does not. So that's the one indication you get from looking at the watch band. This is the older one here, and the newer one doesn't have that name on it. The other part of the watch band looks just exactly the same. So that's the only clue right now on the outside of the watch, unless I turn it over and show you the back. So here on the back, the old one, it has the module number 3159 and the model GW-S5600, titanium back, made in Thailand, all that stuff. If I show you the new version on the back, here you see that it says module 3495, model GW-S5600U, and also just a couple other minor different markings on the back of it, as you can see. Now you may be thinking, well, I like the new module, but I really don't want the carbon fiber version. I'm more interested in these other styles that have been available and now are available with the updated module. So tell me about these instead. Well, what I can tell you is that, again, they're going to look virtually identical. Right here where it says EL backlight, that'll be different. And this one here doesn't say EL backlight. So again, if you're familiar with these and what these look like, you're going to get the same thing on the outside, 99% the same. But if you're interested in the module, I'm going to show you everything the module does here on this carbon fiber version, and you can know that it'll be the same for the updated versions that look like this. So you've got this one that has the stainless steel case under this this resin covering. You've got this one, which either comes with a combi bracelet or kind of a normal resin band, and this one here that also comes with a normal resin band. So yeah, if you like the looks of these, but you're interested in the new module, please keep watching this video. I'm going to show you now all about the new module. But first, one more comparison. If I press all the buttons except the light button at the same time, then I get into the kind of diagnostic screen. And let me show you that on both of these watches. Okay, and what you see here is every single possible segment of LCD is now visible. So a subtle difference here, right there, CHG, and that indicates the watch needs to be charged when the battery level gets too low. It doesn't show that here, but if it ever gets to that very low battery state that needs to be charged up, then right here in this little box, it's going to say CHG in letters up there. The only other difference right there, LT, because it's an LED backlight here, and this one, electroluminescent. So automatic electroluminescence, when that is active, you see that. When the automatic backlight is set here, you see that. Otherwise, you can see the LCD a little bit different, but virtually the same. So now that I've shown you what they look like, next segment of my video is what does it do? So from the main screen here, you can see you've got hours, minutes, seconds, up there the day of the week, and then the date here, I've got it set for month date instead of the other way around, and I'll get into that in a moment. Up here, RCVD means that this has recently received its atomic time information, and I'll tell you that in a moment. PS means that the power save mode is enabled. Down here, well, first let's say SIG, the hourly signal is set to go. So, every hour on the hour, you get a little beep there. Alarm is set to go. There are 5 alarms on here. At least one of them is set to go when this little indicator is shown. And this shows that one of those alarms that's set to go is the snooze alarm. And then right here, battery level indicator, low, medium, and high. Right now it said medium, and that's kind of expected when the watch first comes out of the box. But if I leave this in the sun for an hour or two, it'll charge right up to H for high. If it gets down to low, then some of the features and functions will be disabled until you charge it up again. So right now, medium, it'll work fine. I'll charge it up in the sun when I'm done making this video. And then it should stay at high for, just with normal exposure to everyday lighting conditions. And maybe I'm getting ahead of myself. In case you didn't know, tough solar is one of the features of this watch. That means that there's a solar cell built into the face of the watch, and that is what automatically charges the battery with exposure to normal lighting conditions. So when I say I'm going to stick it out in the sun for a little bit, that'll give it an extra boost with direct sunlight into this solar panel, and that's what tough solar means. Keeps the watch running for years and years and years. They say, at least a decade before you would even have to worry about the battery that's in there, because it just recharges all the time. So if that rechargeable power source in there ever wears out, you can replace it, but it could be a long, long, long time before you'd ever have to do that. So another function, Multiband 6, which means it automatically receives atomic time information from one of 6 transmitters in different parts of the world. So there are 2 in Japan, and there's 1 in China. Then there's 1 in the UK and 1 in Germany, and then of course WWVB here in the United States. And so it will pick up that atomic time information and set itself to the right time and date, and makes it really nice and trouble-free with that automatic charging and automatic time reception. So it's correct right down to the second or fractions of a second, and it makes it a really nice watch. Of course, 200-meter water resistance when it says WR20 bar, and all the other shock resist, toughness that you would expect from a G-Shock. So they're really, really a great watch. And of course, this carbon fiber watch band is a unique thing. Some people don't like the writing on it. Makes it look, I think, like a pace car, from stock car racing or something like that. I find that, given my preferences, I suppose I wouldn't want all of this writing on the watch band. However, when I'm wearing it, I really never see that part of the watch anyway. This bezel is kind of translucent, so if I shine a light from underneath, it shines up a little bit. And of course, this carbon fiber watch band, it's almost like a dual layer thing. You've got that pattern down there, and then kind of right above that is kind of a transparent clear layer, so you can sort of see where those layers are fused together. So a nice tough watch band. It's not quite as supple and soft as resin, a little more firm, but it's comfortable enough, and it's also very, very lightweight. So I don't mind this at all. I really like this. This watch is only available from the Japanese market, so I was able to buy it through, I guess, eBay this time. Sometimes you can buy it through Amazon also, but you'll find a source that sends it from Japan if that's what you want to do. And I decided that out of all of them, if I were going to start a new collection with the updated module, I would start with this one because I really like the way it looks and feels. And so, all right, let's get into the rest of what the module can do, right? So if I push the mode button down here on the lower left, get to the next mode, which is a world time mode. And now with the world time mode, you get to choose 5 world time zones that you can select, and then you get your local time right up here in this window. So right now it's set to UTC for the world time zone, but I push this button on the lower right, and then there's another one, that's Honolulu, and the time zones are named after a major city in that time zone. Or you've got, let's see, what's the next one? This is Paris, this one is Hong Kong, and this one is New York. And if I want to change any of those, so I just hold down the adjust button until things start to blink. And now I can change that by using this button down here. That's as though I'm going eastward on the map to choose a different time zone. And let's see, if I push that one, I can go westward on the map to choose a different time zone. So that could be New York or something else I choose. Let's go with Wellington for my other time zone. Now, if that was a time zone that I frequently travel and I go to that time zone a lot and then back to my home time zone. One thing you can do here is if I press these upper buttons together at the same time, I can quickly swap my local time with that other world time zone. So now this becomes the world time here, the Denver time zone, which is normally my home time zone. And now it's showing me that Wellington time is my home time zone. So that's kind of a nice thing you can do. One of the features of the new updated module. If I go to the next mode, this is my alarm mode. So there are 5 alarms plus, one of those is a snooze alarm. So the way that works is the alarm will go for 10 seconds whenever you've set it to go. But with the snooze alarm, it actually goes 10 seconds. Then 5 minutes later, it goes 10 seconds again, and it beeps. And then 5 minutes after that, 10 more seconds of beeping until a total of 7 times. So half an hour after the initial time was set, that'll be the last time it will go when it's on snooze alarm mode. So it's pretty simple here. If I want to change this alarm, I just hold the adjust button. And then, I can change the hours and minutes of that alarm. And then if I want to select whether it's on or off, I just tap the adjust button when things aren't blinking. And that's how I choose that one. And then if I press this lower right button, I can select the other alarms and decide to have them on or off. And again, if they're all off, then these little indicators are off there. But if any one of them is on, you get the alarm indicator. And this being the snooze alarm, you get that indicator as well. And then if I push this again, that's where I have the hourly signal option of turning that on or off. So I get a little beep, or I don't, every hour on the hour. Okay, next mode is my stopwatch mode. And this is pretty simple as far as pretty standard when it comes to G-Shock watches. A lot of them work this way. For the first hour of use, you get minutes, seconds, and hundredths of a second here. Once it gets past an hour, it all shifts over and you get hours, minutes, and seconds. And then if it gets all the way to 24 hours and you haven't stopped it, it'll reset to 0 and keep going in the same pattern again every 24 hours. Just kind of resets and keeps going until you stop it. You can use this button here marked adjust for a split time or a lap timer. And also, of course, when you're in the stopwatch mode with the new module, you still get the local time right there. I can stop that and reset it with the adjust button. So nice stopwatch with a slight upgrade compared to what it used to be, having that local time window here. Same with the countdown timer. You have the local time up there while you're running a countdown. This can be, you can select, if I push that, get that blinking, so I can select the number of hours, minutes, and seconds for my countdown timer. Okay, and if I set it to all zeros, then it becomes a true 24-hour countdown timer. So I'll just show you how that works. If I push this, and there we go, it's going to count down the full 24 hours. And again, I get the local time right there. One thing to keep in mind when the countdown timer is running, that will disable the automatic time reception for the Multiband 6 receiver. So I'm not sure why that is, but that happens to be the case with a lot of G-Shock watches. So if you're having trouble making the Multiband receiver work, you want to make sure you're not running a countdown timer before you start troubleshooting too deep into that problem. Okay, then we're back to the normal timekeeping mode. So that's what it does. Now let's get into the setup of this watch. Starting here from the normal timekeeping screen, I'm going to hold the adjust button down until things start to blink. And the first thing I can set is my home time zone. So right now, Denver time zone, I'm in the mountain time zone of the United States. So same as Denver. So again, if I push this button down here, on the lower right side, that's like I'm going eastward on the map to choose my new time zone, or I can go westward on the map using this upper button here, but I'm going to take it right back to the Denver time zone because that's my home time zone. Okay, so I push the mode button again, and now I can choose a daylight saving time or summer time, whether I want that to be changed automatically or whether I want it to always be off or always be on. I'm going to change it to automatic change. So, when we have that change to daylight saving time or back to standard time, it'll just go automatically when I have it set this way for my time zone. So that's available when you're in a time zone where multiband reception is available. you can have it also change daylight saving time automatically. All right, so here I can manually set the time, hours, minutes, and seconds, in case I'm not getting the multiband 6 stuff, or in case for some reason I purposely want it to be set to something other than atomic time. So I've got that here. Why don't I just, for the fun of it, set this ahead to like, 4:11 p.m., okay? And then here I can also set the date. And just for the fun of it, let's set this back a little bit. Let's go to August 31st instead of September 2nd. And so again, I can manually set those, but if I'm getting my multiband 6 reception, then the time and date settings will automatically be changed, updated, replaced by the real time and date when that reception occurs. So next, this is when I get to choose a 12-hour or 24-hour display. Pretty simple there. Use that button on the lower right to make it, 24-hour or 12-hour display. Okay, pretty simple there. And here, this is a new feature for the new module. Instead of month date, I can change that to date month. So a lot of folks, especially in Europe, have really been excited about that ability now being added to this watch. Here, also the abbreviation of the day of the week. When I'm in the home screen, I can have that in English, Spanish, French, German, Italian, or Russian. So I can choose, one of those other abbreviations instead of English. And then here, when I press the button to change modes or to start and stop a stopwatch, those sorts of things, I get a little bit of a beep. And I can mute that here, and then that little symbol appears on the screen if I want to be a little bit more discreet about that. When the sound is in mute on here, you do still get sounds at the end of a countdown timer, or the hourly beep, or the regular alarms that you've set. Those will still make noises, but you won't get a little beep every time you change modes or start and stop those things. So I usually keep it in mute, but you can, of course, turn it off or on very easily right here. The backlight can either stay on for 1.5 seconds or 3 seconds. You have the ability to change that duration right here. Most people would leave that in the the shorter duration to save battery power, but since this is rechargeable, and I really don't use the backlight all that often anyway, I'm going to leave it on the longer duration. That's kind of fun. Right here, receiving. So if you don't want it to automatically receive atomic time information, you can turn that off right here, and that'll be either to save power, or if for some reason you've set it to a different time on purpose. I usually leave that on because I have really good reception where I live. I'm living close to Colorado, and so I like to leave that on, and it automatically sets itself to the right time. And then power save mode. So what this is, when power save is active or on, and you can turn it off or leave it on. What happens is when the watch is not being used at night, the screen will go blank in order to save power. And the watch will sense whether or not it's being used a couple of ways. There's a little motion sensor inside the watch, and so if that is sensing that there's no motion, then the watch kind of figures, well, nobody's using me, maybe I should go into power save mode. But also it will go into power save mode when there is no light. So the solar panel here becomes a light sensor. So if both of those conditions are met, there's no light and the watch is not being used, then after about 11 p.m., then it'll go blank. What happens is it has to be after 10 p.m. and it has to be not used or in the dark or both for 1 hour. So that means around 11 p.m., if you're not using the watch at all, then it goes blank. It won't go into power save sleep mode between 6 a.m. and 10 p.m. If it is in that power save sleep mode and the screen is blank, a couple things you can do. First you can just kind of shake it, and then that motion sensor will know that, hey, I think he's using me now, and the screen will come back, everything will come back. Or the other thing is you can press any button that will make the screen come back alive, or put it in a well-lit area, and that will also bring everything back if it's gone into sleep mode. And so that's all the setup right there. We're back to the beginning here. And now, if I take it out of the blinking there, now you can see Well, there's my other language abbreviation for the day of the week. And right there, I've got that 31st of August instead of August 31st. So now you can see this is a difference, something this other version of the watch could not do. Also, one other thing, I talked about the backlight a little bit. If you want to turn on that backlight, you just press this button up here. Now, if I press and hold that button for a few seconds, then I get LT will appear right there. And that means I've activated the automatic backlight. I can turn that off again by holding that button again. But the automatic backlight is a feature I really like. Basically what it does, it senses when you hold the watch up like this. So if you're wearing it and you're going to look at it, you tilt it up like that. And there's a sensor that when you tilt it up like that, the light comes on automatically and stays on for either 1.5 seconds or 3 seconds. If you're already in a well-lit area, then that solar cell becomes a light sensor. So it will not turn on the light automatically if you're in a bright spot. But if it's dark enough, then that can automatically come on. That's why I say, don't have this covered up by your jacket or long sleeves or something, because it'll be blinking all the time. But if you're out and about and you're in a well-lit area, you don't have to worry about it coming on when you don't want it to. Now, the new module uses an LED rather than electroluminescent backlight, and they look a little bit different. Here, I'll put them side by side so you can see what they look like together. Okay, so some people really like the look of the electroluminescent backlight. However, after many years of use, it is possible that the electroluminescent layer won't work as well. Also, it uses a little bit more power than the LED. So that's why most of the watch manufacturers, including Casio, have shifted more to using LEDs in their backlights more than they did before. So the LED, you can see there's a little bit of a hot spot, little bright spot on the edge, as that's the actual physical location of the LED that's shining from the edge to light that up. Again, it's a little bit different color than the electroluminescence. I don't mind it at all. Some people prefer electroluminescence, but just know that Casio is moving to LEDs as their primary backlight technology. And honestly, if you don't see them side by side to compare the two of them, I don't think you'd have any real complaint about either one. But if you see them side by side like this, you probably do have a preference. So there you go. Again, the new versions of these watches are just released here in the middle of the year 2021. They'll be the same model numbers, except they have U at the end. So this would be the GW-M5610U. If you want the newer version of it, also this one, GW-M5610U. This would be the GW-5000U, and this one here being the GW-S5600U. So this one here, the carbon fiber one, really only available in the Japanese market. However, these others, I believe, even including this one, will be, if not already, available in the European market. So you can shop around for a good deal. If you're already in Europe, maybe, and you'd rather have one of these, go for it. Otherwise, this one, find someone from Japan that can sell that to you. And for those of us here in the United States, we're just going to have to go with the foreign vendors if we want to get into this. I had a pretty good, found someone online that could sell this to me. Pretty good delivery, pretty good price. Everything worked out well with this deal, and that's why I have this one. Oh, I almost forgot. So I have manually set this to the wrong date and time, but if I want to, I can just wait until that will automatically set itself to the right time. Overnight reception is usually best on that. But if I don't want to wait for the automatic reception, I can manually start it, and I'll show you that in a moment. So what happens with this Multiband 6 is starting at midnight, it will try to listen to the Multiband 6 transmitter to get the right time and date information. If it's not successful within a few minutes, it'll try again at 1 a.m. And if that's not successful in a few minutes, it'll try again at 2 a.m. It'll keep going up to 6 times. But if it's successful, any one of those tries, it won't start again until the next night at midnight to try again. So if it's successful right at midnight, it won't start again, and it'll only do it once a night. But if it's not successful, it's going to keep trying. So, but if I want to manually start reception, first thing I need to do is go back here to the countdown timer and stop that countdown timer, because I warned you that that would stop reception. So now go back here to the main timekeeping screen, press and hold this receiving button, and now it's going to activate the atomic time receiver. and try to receive that radio control information. I don't know if it'll work here during the middle of the day with all this video equipment around, but usually at night reception is better, and if you don't have interference from other devices around, electronic devices and motors and things, then it has a fighting chance to start to set itself. So right now, L1, level 1 reception. I want it to get up to level 3 reception. That's the best. So it's telling me reception, not that great right now. I could take this to another room of the house, and then I would probably be successful even during the middle of the day, because I live so close to Colorado. I could get a nice, good, stable level 3, and within just a few minutes, this would be set to the right time again. And one of the things people really liked about these carbon fiber watches is they're lightweight. So we're looking, 45, maybe 46 grams, depending. So this is that one. Here's the older one. Again, weighing in virtually the same, as opposed to, say, one of these with the kind of a more standard resin band. It's a little bit heavier. Or if I take a look at, say, this Bluetooth version that's out there, again, that's comparable to the normal resin G-Shock Square. Here's one with the combi bracelet, so that's going to weigh in a little bit heavier. Here's a G-Shock Square with Bluetooth and the Bluetooth bracelet there. So again, look a little bit heavier there. And then if I look at this Japanese one with the stainless steel case underneath there, again, that's going to be, again, a little bit heavier. So now that I have them set this way, you can easily tell the difference just by looking at them with the date month versus month date, with the LT versus automatic electroluminescence. So now you know which one is which, this being the new one here. When I decided to get this, I thought, well, this would be really nice because now I don't have to treat this other one quite so precious. I can use this more like a beater watch. And my wife pointed out, no, now that this one is officially discontinued, you probably want to take extra good care of this one and not use it as a beater. I don't know why. I don't really beat up my watches that badly, but I do kind of like the idea of a watch that you just never have to worry about if anything's going to happen to it. So maybe I will wear this one a little more casually and not worry about it so much because this other one is readily available, and they're both super nice. And this one's held up pretty well. This finish on the watch band, everything, it's really been pretty good, even though I don't wear any of these watches exclusively because I have a lot of watches and I like to kind of rotate them through. But for the little bit I have worn this one, I think it's held up really well. And so I'm happy. And now I'm happy because I have two of these, and I really do like the G-Shock Squares, the style, the simplicity, the features, the functions. It's all, what's not to like? And that's all for now, but believe it or not, I have a really good idea for another episode coming up next week of The Good Timekeeping Show.